Here's your news for August 30th, 2020. And your headlines for today include surprising first reaction of Roman Reigns after being declared as the new Paul Heyman guy. Yet another surprise not involving Roman Reigns is planned for WWE Payback. Kenny Omega confirms he was in WWE ThunderDome during SmackDown. WWE superstar fought with the management and got the match result changed. Big news about Charlotte Flair missing WrestleMania 37. The Queen reacts. Breaking news about Seth Rollins taking a break from WWE. Why Rollins would want to. Why Braun Strowman wanted to commit suicide, and more. We're starting off today with Roman Reigns news as following his alignment with Paul Heyman, which fans never saw coming, he's now commented on Heyman being his new advocate. After SmackDown's truly shocking ending with the two, fans had a ton of questions, the biggest being, what's next? And that question is pretty much universal at this point. On Twitter, Reigns replied to a Heyman tweet saying, "Been waiting for this for a long time. Here we go." According to Ringside News, this turn was a complete surprise, with one member of the creative team with close knowledge to the situation saying that it caught them all off guard in the best possible way. It's unknown if Heyman will have anything to do with creative, after he was fired as Raw's executive director in June, with Bruce Pritchard running both shows now. Even before his director days though, Heyman was very hands-on with the direction for Lesnar, and we can only assume it'll be the same with Reigns now. The combination of Reigns' physical domination and Heyman's mental acumen could make them a lethal combination on SmackDown, and though it's unclear if there'll be any more on-screen interactions between Lesnar, a Raw superstar, and Roman when the Beast is back, having the two former enemies on the same page would make a truly dominant team, and Heyman one of the most powerful individuals on WWE TV ever. But what do you think? Would you like to see Reigns and Lesnar work together as Paul Heyman guys, and for the group to be the most dominant entity on Raw, SmackDown, and the entire WWE? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. It seems like destiny for Roman to capture the Universal title tonight, a title he never lost, and according to our sources, these plans aren't too different from what was originally in store for WrestleMania 36, where he was supposed to face then-champion Goldberg until he opted not to compete. They said, "The idea was that he would have a chip on his shoulder after beating Goldberg for the Universal Championship in a short match." Reigns' pairing with Paul Heyman and new chip on his shoulder attitude is certainly a talking point for fans, and winning the title tonight from the popular Fiend would confirm that heel turn, as fans will get a chance to boo him as a heel rather than boo him as a face. Roman's first test as the latest Paul Heyman guy will come tonight at Payback, and the closing moments of this week's SmackDown certainly proved that anything can happen in WWE. With Wyatt as the champion tonight and Reigns as the favorite, former Universal Champion Braun Strowman seems to be the proverbial third wheel in the match, though things may soon be very different for the monster among men. In his Universal title reign, which many fans felt was overdue, his only memorable rivalry was against The Fiend, and as stated by PW Insider, WWE are now looking to turn Braun face once again. So far, the backstage rumor is that Reigns will beat both Strowman and The Fiend tonight, and how excited are you for tonight's no-holds-barred triple threat, and who do you think will be leaving the ThunderDome as Universal Champion? Speaking of Payback, tonight's show got another match added to it, as Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan will face the Iconics on the kickoff show. There's still time for the rumored Intercontinental title match between Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles, or the rumored Kevin Owens vs. Aleister Black match to be added, but tonight's show is clearly a stacked event. We are entering the ThunderDome next, as Kenny Omega seemingly appeared on WWE SmackDown this week, though fans questioned the validity of the image that surfaced online. Now, the AEW VP and reigning tag team champion has confirmed that it was indeed him, adding that he was just trying to have a good time and didn't expect anyone to notice him in the ThunderDome. Now that the cleaner has appeared, it's always possible that more AEW stars may show up in the ThunderDome, and for many fans, scrutinizing every corner of the screen to see who's in the crowd each week is becoming far more interesting than the action in the ring. We are looking back at SummerSlam now, as the show lived up to the slogan, "You'll never see it coming," when one match's finish was changed from something nobody expected. Ringside News are reporting that the original plan for the Loser Leaves WWE match was for Sonya Deville to win, forcing Mandy Rose to leave the company, until Deville argued that it made no sense and plans were changed. A source from the company also said that plans here don't last in this environment, and that's clearly the case as Deville lost instead but got to keep her hair despite the originally planned hair versus hair stipulation. Given their feud and Rose's relationship with Otis, having Mandy lose at SummerSlam would have made no sense, and the only benefit would have been swerving fans just for the sake of it, booking more akin to Vince Russo. The source also said that WWE has a plan in place for Rose now that Deville is gone, and though we don't know if that means setting her sights on Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship, the fact that she wasn't on SmackDown this week doesn't mean the company has nothing for her. One place the Golden Goddess doesn't want to be is in the Firefly Funhouse, which is where Adam Pearce ended up this week after being tasked by Vince McMahon to get all 3 Universal title match competitors to sign the contract. In the process, the WWE producer became Postman Pearce when he tried to get Bray Wyatt's signature for the contract, and whilst Wyatt was having fun, Pearce wasn't. On Twitter, Pearce shared a photo of a postal uniform that someone left on his doorstep, saying it wasn't funny, though Wyatt replied with an ominous picture of his own, saying Pearce can check out of the funhouse, but he can never leave. With plans for Bray to be SmackDown's top face, it makes sense that the funhouse will have even more of a Pee-wee's Playhouse vibe, and time will tell whether Postman Pearce is joined by fellow WWE producers like next-door neighbor Noble or lunch lady Lance Storm inside the Firefly Funhouse. One person fans haven't seen around lately is Charlotte Flair, as she's taken time off to deal with a surgery she'd been putting off, and is also looking at some acting roles too. While speaking to Wrestling Inc., her father dropped some pretty big news regarding Charlotte, as he revealed more about her health issues and added, "So she'll be fine, just has to be patient and heal. The rotator cuffs, you gotta let those heal. You gotta let the knees heal. And I gotta remind her sometimes, like Seth was off for a year. She's likely out for a year. It's not the end, you'll come back." Being out for a year would mean Charlotte misses WrestleMania 37, though there are also rumors that the former women's champion will be WWE's next breakout star and end up on the silver screen or TV, which would obviously affect the amount of time she's in the ring. Fortunately for the Queen's loyal subjects who worship her, Charlotte herself addressed these rumors, saying, "This isn't remotely freaking true. So it looks like she's got no plans to be out for a year or leave the wrestling business completely. Even if she doesn't take a year off, we still have no idea when she'll be back in the ring, and with all these reports of outside projects, we'll have to see what the future holds for the Queen of all eras." Speaking about Charlotte's absence wasn't all that Rick had to say though, as in that same interview, he spoke about Eric Bischoff becoming SmackDown's executive director, which Charlotte was worried over. It's no secret that Flair and Bischoff had some very personal issues between them whilst they were in WCW, and Charlotte was worried that their past might affect her present on SmackDown, as Rick explained. "So when Eric got hired by WWE, and these are the kind of things that really sit deep with me. You know, my daughter called me, who is arguably the biggest female star in the history of the business. She called me and said, 'Dad, do you think it's going to affect my career that he's coming to work here?' I'm thinking about that, like my daughter. I'm hoping that she's not remembering those days that I had to go through, but it's the first thing that came to her mind. Is he gonna treat me like he treated you, Dad? How about that?" Fortunately, Charlotte wasn't punished for being Rick's daughter, and if anything, the Queen became a larger focal point, though given the rough past between Rick and Bischoff, nobody could blame her for having a little bit of concern. Speaking of absences, we've got news from Seth Rollins next, as he's been dominant on Raw as of late, but that could soon change. Despite his current feud with the Mysterios, there are rumors circulating that the Monday Night Messiah will soon be taking time off due to the upcoming birth of his and Becky Lynch's firstborn child. It's being rumored that Rollins will take some time off around Survivor Series, if not sooner, and that given how respected Rollins is due to his years of hard work, nobody is blaming him for asking for time off, especially with a new child on the way. If Rollins does end up asking for time off, then his hiatus won't happen for at least another month or so, and fans should remember that plans could always change regarding the Monday Night Messiah. Over to AEW next, as Matt Hardy has been embroiled in a bloody feud with Sammy Guevara, though there were plans for it to happen differently. Speaking to TV Insider, Matt explained that there were originally plans for a cinematic match with the Spanish God until the ongoing global situation got in the way of things, and gave kudos to the AEW crew, who he said helped keep AEW running for 6 weeks on a day or two of filming. Hardy did say that a Hardy compound fight with Sammy in North Carolina may still happen one day, though this all hinges on the current situation improving, with their first attempt at a cinematic match between the two being blocked. And finally today we're ending with news from Braun Strowman, as the monster among men has opened up about his tough journey to WWE. Speaking on the latest episode of WWE Chronicle, Strowman admitted that he was on the verge of making a decision to end his own life, though this was prior to joining WWE and turning his life around after his powerlifting days. Speaking about one particularly rough day in WWE, Strowman said, "I got to the point where I was on the verge of I had enough. I kinda busted in on Vince one day in a meeting, and I was like, I need to talk to you. And he kicked everybody out of the production meeting, and he sat down and talked to me. Not like boss to employee, but like man to man, almost a father-son talk thing." Strowman isn't the first superstar to see Vince as something of a father figure, as Kurt Angle, John Cena, and TJP have all called McMahon a father figure in interviews, and Strowman said how lucky he is to have that relationship, adding, "I don't even like talking about this out loud, but I was thinking about killing myself a couple of times. I should have talked to somebody sooner. I never knew how much he cared about me. I thought it was just a number in a system. That day he made me realize that I'm more important than a number, and I can't thank him enough." Although he's no longer Universal Champion, Strowman is still one of WWE's biggest stars, and it's great to see that he's in a much better place thanks to Vince McMahon.